I've been here 50 years. This place came up, it was $38,000. And I thought, oh, how can I afford it? But I bought it walking up the driveway. I knew this was the place I wanted to do my little experiment. Oh, hi.
So we're just checking this out, and it looks like you have water flowing through the entire property. So water's a big deal here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the gray water, which you won't see, comes underground, comes out first in the chicken coop. So that shows how much water we have.
Do you have a lot right now?
Yeah, it shows the pressure, 30 pounds. And then it comes out on here. I lived out of the country for 10 years, and when I came back here, I wanted to grow my own food and see what real food tastes like. But they're also sweet.
Do you get a lot of eggs?
They're new, but they should start laying pretty soon. I had to find a way to get my water systems.
You can see the water just flowing down.
Oh yeah, the pond. Yeah, collects water in the culvert.
Okay.
And then the pond water goes over to the garden. The holding tank was one of the first things I did. Then I built the boat pond down there. And the lake, that's functional. Inside the boat is a column that goes down about 30 feet and taps into groundwater. And then I solar pump it up. And it's part of the water system here. Water is life.
It's nice with the rain, though. You see how the whole place is just prepared for water, right?
And the whole garden comes alive. And please don't fall in the moat. Several people have done that already. So those three characters down there, that's been my guiding philosophy the whole time. My whole 50 years of being here. The first character is water is precious. Second, soil is sacred. And the third, shit is a resource. And on that note, we're standing inside the Grand Pissoir. I believe the world's first water flush composting toilet. This whole unit is self-contained and isolated from the rest of the environment. So you make your deposit here, you flush it down, you add a little bit of carbonaceous material to it, and then it goes down into a big worm chamber, earthworms, and they love shit.
Fish tank?
Fish tank, this monitors the purity of the black water.
So it's coming from where? That would mean it's coming from the toilet.
It originated from the toilet, but it's gone through all the systems here and has been biodigested into something that we don't have a word for. What do you call black water that's not black water anymore? The whole system goes through a series of purification. You can see it dripping here. This comes off the intestines. I call them the intestines on the roof.
So that water has made the entire circuit and now can be used again.
Yeah, and this is the overflow from the tank. The tank is full. If this is dripping, it means the tank is full.
Okay.
And then you have about 8 flushes available before it recharges itself. And this is rainwater used for wash up. So this is clean water. The other is purified black water. And I suppose technically, when you wash your hands, then that becomes gray water.
That sound you hear
Is a 12-volt water pump. Everything runs off the one solar panel here. This solar panel drives 4 12-volt pumps. They all work to move water around. But let me show you the magic that happens on the roof. This is the intestines. It's 30 feet long, which is about the same as our own intestines. And it accomplishes something very similar in that the black water begins at the upper end here and slowly flows through the 30 feet. And the biomass regeneration is what is truly amazing. I got as much as 250 pounds, that was with the root mass too, in about 6 months period. And I change what grows up there, but you can see a volunteer tomato plant there. Look at those tomatoes. I don't let anyone eat them. I eat them because I know the system. It's totally safe.
But you are also sitting on a roof of another structure. So we are atop a series of structures, right?
Yeah, we're above the heart of the composting toilet. There's 3 chambers down below that add to the biofiltration and sedimentation of any existing solids that escape from the worms. But the whole system just mimics what happens naturally in nature. And it's so simple, but it's very difficult to get county permission to have something like this. Nothing else exists like this in the world. And yet it's not so original because I just copied what nature does naturally. It's just that fecal phobia is a very difficult obstacle to overcome in this culture. I've worked on 2 septic tanks before, and my God, you take the lid off a septic tank and you really have to be strong to tolerate the odors coming out of there. This is the worm palace. You can see some of the worms up there on the side.
Oh yeah.
Here you can stick your head right inside the inner chamber. Nothing offensive.
Why is that?
Because the worms take care of all the digestion. This was one of the first things I built on the property, a home for my worms to digest food scraps. So now I have to empty out some food scraps here. So it's a little bit more cumbersome, but I got in the habit of just doing it this way. I could talk your ears off on the magic of worms because I've been raising these worms, these same worms, for 51 years now. So this is the generation of the same worms.
How many worms do you think there are in there?
I used to sell them, and a pound of worms, well, you can't see it all. It goes all the way back here, and it's about 2 feet deep. It's like a coffin. How many worms do you think are in here? 100,000? 500,000? A million? Just to show you how well this works. We had a deer that fell into the moat and drowned. Twice it's happened. Both times I vermicomposted it. I put the whole deer in here, laid some duckweed on the top, just a little layer, and didn't say anything to my wife at the time. She walked by here every day, dozens of times, Had no idea there was a whole deer inside there.
So no smell.
No smell whatsoever. All that was left were bones at the end of a few months.
So how do the worms fit into the system then? So the worms are just working on the food scraps. They're not related to the water.
And my poop.
Also.
Well, that's what we had over there. The same system, but it goes through more steps of decomposition.
So a different set of worms.
Same species, but obviously not the same worms as here. And you could see the intestines up there on top. See how vibrant those plants are? Every year I have different plants growing up there, because for the future it's important to know which plants, if you're going to use this system. And by the way, it's completely scalable. In a larger situation, if you were servicing a small community, you would want to have the intestines expanded way out so it becomes a lush field, because it's being fed constant diet of black water, and whatever you plant in there just really thrives.
And the whole thing is so beautiful in the end. I mean, I'm just watching the hummingbirds go by, and you see all this green and...
Yeah, unfortunately, when the county comes up here, all they see are building violations. And I've never been able to get anyone from the county, except for some of the early people that would listen and they understood. But mostly they don't ask questions, except, do you have a permit for this? I think that's the main question they ask when they come here. Well, this becomes wood ash, but also as equally important are the 5 fine grits of charcoal. And charcoal has the ability to absorb and neutralize bad odors. So even though this sink goes directly to the worm palace, and it goes directly to the worm palace, you never get any bad aromas or any bad odors coming out of here. So, but it's important to use wood ash at least every few days. So you put the wood ash on here. Some people say, oh, you're washing with dirt. They call this dirt.
Back in the day, in some other cultures,
Nomads use wood ash, but they don't soak it first, which is the important thing. Once you soak it in water, it develops an alkalinity that causes any grease or fat to sapinify.
So in a way, your solution would be like an original soap, or...
This is what the worms enjoy. And I'll leave it on there for a few minutes, and it eats into all the oils and food residues, and then everything just washes down and goes to the worms.
So it's connected. So this is directly
This
connected.
goes directly to the worm palace that you just saw outside. See, I just had my hands in all the worms and compost. So I'm going to wash my hands in wood ash. And this is where I challenge anyone to do this simple test. Take your usual bar of soap, wash your hands, and then taste, lick your fingers. There's absolutely nothing bad on there. It's fresh, it tastes good. But you try that with any commercial soap and taste your fingers after washing your hands. This stuff is better.
Oh, wow.
So let's put some food on the table.
So you opted not to get a conventional modern stove.
For me, cooking with wood is a luxury. I've never paid for wood. There's plenty of wood. Roadkill, after every big storm. So,
We're gonna move. I'll move.
okay, hot pot. This is my other passion in life. I design and have these stone pots made in Korea. And the original design is to be used on the solar cooker, which they work amazingly well.
They're stone?
Solid.
Yeah.
It's changed my life. I love cooking with stone, and I could make stuff that you can't do with any other cooking method. So
Because it holds the heat differently?
yeah, the way the heat radiates into the food, the way you could control the moisture content, because these are machined surfaces. These are cut on a lathe, so they completely seal up. And the other thing is a little bit of leftover food, put it in the pot, put it in the freezer or in the refrigerator. When you want it, put it right on the stove, and it directly, you know, I hate plastic. This, you don't have to deal with plastic.
What do we need, bowls?
Yeah, 6 bowls, chopsticks.
But I mean, even everything you have on your shelves just feels like art as well. You don't have any, you're right, no plastic, maybe that's part of it.
I asked them about this, and
Yeah.
they told me these trees came from the property, all this wood came from the property.
The floor. This is wood from the pencil factory.
You built everything?
Well, with the help of a lot of friends too. No commercial work. It was all just friends, I have to say.
So basically, I mean, from here you can see the whole property. Can
Yeah.
you point out, like, is there a whole loop going on if you had to point out sort of the way things work here?
You see years and years and years of evolution here. You get a little glimpse of the cave there, the tea cave. That tunnel, that's all tea storage. This is the very first structure I built. That's the go down. It's like a Japanese kura, fortified storage.
Okay.
And originally I designed a 3-tiered pagoda roof, but I have to learn to compromise in my age just because I'm almost 80 and I have to finish this in a very short time. I never do the same building technique twice, so everything is kind of original. I like to experiment. Where we're standing now, this is something I'm very proud of. These are cast in place concrete blocks made with decomposed granite. But the interesting thing about them is inside the blocks is 2 inches. There's styrofoam in there, which insulates this space. When it's all finished, this is the solar fermentation room for making a kind of tea called pu-erh. So I needed a structure that would contain the heat. And the extra heat goes up through there, which my bedroom, which I'm not allowed to move now, my bedroom is that little cabin up on the hill. That's going to go on top here, and the extra heat will go up in the cabin.
So the fermentation is going to heat your...
Well, they call it fermentation. It's more correctly called oxidation.
So it's tea oxidation
Heating.
heating.
Yeah.
Did you build your house?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What was that, old wood?
Well, it's wood from the pencil factory. They basically gave it to me for free because they couldn't use it for pencils. And then I filled it in with clay, pig hair, horse hair from the tail, and a little bit of sand. And it's been that way for at least 40 years.
Is it comfortable? Stay warm?
Yeah. Well, it'll be warmer once I move it on top of here. This cabin used to be down below. I had to move it up the hill.
Oh, wow. On rollers?
Skids. I built a skid underneath.
What's the house right above here?
Chicken coop. The chickens used to live up.
And who lives up there now? What is it? A house now? Is it a habitable space now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a guest house.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like a chicken coop. Wow. And the floor is great too.
So you mind to show us your fridge? Is that right? There is a fridge from the 50s still going.
This country used to make good stuff that lasted. We lost that. Now everything, get it cheap as possible, find foreign laborers that'll make it cheaper than we can, and it's unfortunate. That's solid, and it's never been serviced. I had to put a new latch on because this doesn't work anymore, but it works. The light switch sometimes gets stuck, but you know, it does its job.
Around 7 decades of service.
That's right.
still
That's
going.
right. It's still going. Never been serviced. I got it from the original owner. I thought, what do I need a refrigerator for? Then I started keeping my dough starter in here, the sourdough starter.
You are talking to us, and I just see the hummingbirds
Oh, you
surrounding
can,
you.
if you're standing real still, you could stand right here and watch their little tongues go in and out. I even had one land on my finger. You know, I had my hand up here and it landed on my finger.
How much of this is just a big ecosystem, though? I mean, like, how important is it that these birds do come? And I feel like I've seen so much life here.
That's exactly what's happening. One day I counted 5 different species of birds that were feeding off the processed black water. It all works, you know. That's what I have the hardest time telling the county is the systems work.
Has anyone been able to get a permit in other places? Is there a precedent for permitting this kind of thing?
No, no, I tried to get permits 50 years ago. Flat out, we don't permit composting toilets. Their gray water system that they do permit now is a joke.
It's funny, I mean, this is the systems that were set up, right, to do this.
Yeah.
You know, waste was supposed to be broken down, and
Yeah.
I mean...
And turn back into the food chain. And the food chain, if not for us, for other critters that live on the planet. It all works, you know. That's what I have the hardest time telling the county is the systems work. You know, you may not understand it or agree with it, but they work, and they're important. I believe they're important for understanding how to live better on the planet in the future. This is our mother. We don't realize that our planet is our mother. It feeds us, it nourishes us, and we've lost the connection.